My name is Jorge Arturo, and I am a writer in New Orleans. I love to write fiction, so I'm going to go ahead and read a little bit of a book I started working on when I first moved here. For several moments, Abella and the raven sat there in silence, wondering how it all went wrong. She held her mother's lifeless hand in her own, undoubtedly unsure of what else to do. Her entire life pulled out from beneath her in less than a day. Even the raven could easily trace back the tendrils of time that had led them to this moment. Was it his fault? Perhaps ravens could be as destructive as humans were. Perhaps living beings, in being living beings, were destined to harm one another by virtue of being alive. But no matter what level of blame he carried, he could not abandon Abella now, so desperate and very much alone. Abella sobbed and sobbed, wiping tears away so that others could take their place. Please, 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 she kept whispering, eyelids clenching tight like a grip on her mother's hand. And then she began to quietly sing that song. That same song her mother used to sing to her every night. And as she whispered and whimpered through those final words, her light began to glow, first softly and uncertainly, like a lantern in the fog, but then growing brighter and brighter until the raven had no choice but to look away. And when it subsided, he looked back to see the wound on her mother's head replaced with undisturbed flesh. Color returned to her cheeks. Her breast rose and fell with a slow but steady rhythm. Abella's eyes were enormous. She released her grip on her mother's hand, trembling from head to toe. The raven gawked, but his heart began to thud at the thought of a second attack. That's when they heard a loud pounding on the door. Abella jumped at the noise, stretching from her spot on the floor. To pull the bathroom door open, they could hear faint voices from below. Should I knock again? She's not safe, just open it. And with a horrendous crack, the front door burst free from its hinges and fell to the floor. The raven and Abella swapped glances. What should I do? She asked him, searching the room for some hint of inspiration that would never come. The bathroom door swung open, and two nuns now filled the frame. The raven bristled. They all had the light. Oh, my word, are you all right, darling? Abella looked at the raven and then back up at them. My mommy, she fell and hit her head, but I think she's okay now. I think I made her better. The woman in the front, unusually tall and slender, rushed forward and squatted beside Abella's mother, placing a hand on her chest. The second, a squat, round woman with a warm but worried expression, pulled Abella toward her and said, "It's okay, sweetheart." After a moment of silence, the tall woman glanced over to the door where a third woman stood. "She's alive. I thought you said you saw her die." I did. She did. Then how? Asked the woman, now holding Abella close to her side. She looked down at the trembling girl. Did you say you made her all better? Abella could only nod slowly. The three women exchanged petrified stares. They noted the raven and the bloody knife not far from her mother's hand. They noticed the cuts on Abella. They nodded at one another. The warmer woman sighed deeply and rubbed Abella's back. "Sweetheart, my name is Miss Evangeline." She pointed to the nervous woman. "That's Miss Renee." And then at the tall stoic one, "And Miss Evelyn." Miss Evelyn nodded grimly, her attention half occupied by the not-dead woman beside her. "We're here to help you." Abella only stared with confusion. "I know something scary happened with your mama tonight, sweetheart, and I'm sorry that it did." She saw the tears welling up in Abella's eyes. Your mama just got confused and scared, baby. She didn't know what she was doing." Abella began to sob again, but this time Miss Evangeline held her close. "It's going to be okay, sweetheart, but at least for tonight, I think that you should come with us. We'll keep you safe." Abella shook her head. "We'll make sure that your mom's okay." She stooped to look the girl in her sorrowful eyes. "I promise." The raven tried to encourage her with a squawk. These women also had the light. Surely they might know how to help her. Annabella's mother was beginning to murmur and groan in a steady ascent to consciousness. Abella eventually nodded her assent, and she was whisked back downstairs by Miss Evangeline and Miss Evelyn. Miss Renee, wiry and suspicious, stared at Abella's mother, and then at the raven. "You're not from around here, are you?" The sticky evening air was a merciless reminder that the world outside Abella's house was as unforgiving as the interior. Their pace was quicker than she could handle as she moved beneath the heavy weight of trauma and exhaustion. Parked ahead beneath a flickering streetlight, she saw their destination. It was a small, steel blue suggestion of a motor coach, stamped on three words with the side, stamped on three sides, on the sides with three words, with the words "church bus." She halted for a moment, overwhelmed by a storm of contradictory emotions. No one her age knew how to negotiate. Her mother loved the church, but her mother said the church wanted her dead. But these nuns intended to take her to church? Miss Evangeline appeared at her side again and extended her hand. "I promise," she said again. And in a world where Abella felt she had no place, she found such welcome in those two simple words.